Welcome back to the next assembly. I now have a sheet metal here where I would like to weld out another sheet metal with a fillet weld, and then we go from the sheet directly to a piece of pipe and we disassemble the pipe into a circular segment to weld it, and then go back to a straight line screw from the opposite side of page 1. If I want to do something like that, I have to think a bit about how I put it, and it has a lot to do with the robot. And we have to see how the hose package goes. In our setup, it is now the case that the feed case is over there, and the biggest problem is actually if the hose package had to swivel through under this arm, it is very unfavorable because the hose package then presses against this robot arm, and it can happen. We get an emergency out. So I activate the teach control, and we start with the first waypoint somewhere up here, free and collision, so that we can move well between the component and the tensioners, as I already mentioned in the other video. I almost turn the burner on here to a pre-position, set a waypoint again, and then we go to the starting position where we want to activate the welding. I press the process button, we see the red light, we see the program. In line 8, the welding is activated, and then we jump into the whirl puff and jump into the move P para P. Well, what are we going to do? We are now standing here bisecting the angle, slightly pricking, just like you would weld by hand. We guide the robot along the sheet, of course. Always constantly stabbing, and I don't put the W point directly at the end of the sheet, but 5 millimeters in front of it. And now in the last piece, the last 5 millimeters, I turn on the burner and will drive the molten bath directly into the corner. For this, I will create another waypoint. When we arrive, we will put the robot. Again, move a little away and jump in about 5 millimeters onto the pipe. We first weld nicely into the corner, then turn the tool so that we arrive on the pipe again piercing. Here I set the waypoint OK. At this point we do the following. I have broken my pipe into 3 circle segments. You cannot save or create the pipe in one move with a circle function, and we need several circle segments. I have now decided here to make 3 circle segments. How do I do that? I've now gone on the tube in about 30 degrees, and I hold the waypoint button for 2 seconds, and you see it comes into yellow light. And in the robot program we see in line 15 a circular motion is generated, and green, i.e. black, has now already become. Line 16, a transition point. A circular function always consists of a starting point, a transition point, and an end point. We are now at the passage point. We continue to guide the robot, always 30-degree segments. When I press waypoint again, we see, aha, the endpoint line 17, or generated. Then we move on. I press half here like this. I press and hold again for 2 seconds. And we see there was a new circle function. I do it wonderfully again. Press once briefly. Circle function ended. We continue. I press and hold again for 2 seconds. Yellow light circle function. So we continue, and I end up about 5 millimeters before the corner point. Confirm waypoint. Okay, what do we do now? Now we are drifting the melt bath. Again, as on the opposite side, already directly into the corner, set a waypoint, and in the next point, I go again 5 millimeters on the sheet metal, come back to my stabbing position, welded mine nicely through the corner, keep my orientation, and now create a waypoint again. Now I have made sure that we are standing sharp again and can weld the last piece of the line screw again sharp. I change the last point. I deactivate the process here. We see that one last point was created in line 26, and in line 27 the process was deactivated. We drive away from the component again, create a robot, has changed the operating mode to move JPara axis, and line 29 is a free space point. And now we turn off. Actually turning the hose package back again brings us to a position where we stand safely and creates a final point. So we see this now here. We have now done 30 lines. I deactivate the programming and we press play. The robot drives in its starting position and I start the robot program. It drives. We now see slight stings, nice bisector of the angle. It basically drives especially the line screw, the first segment. And now it will, so to speak, when we are back there 5 millimeters in front of it, change its orientation and drive the melt bath nicely into the corner and always drive it in front of it so that we always stay nicely pricked. You can see it wonderfully. And now the robot automatically jumps into the circular function and goes around the pipe, always nicely piercing, always nicely bisecting the angle, just as we would weld it manually. This will be the best in terms of welding results. So much for that. See you in the next video.